What is up, guys, and welcome again to the JNWTCG channel. This is Jay speaking, and today I want to showcase you guys my Therion adventure deck profile that I have been playing for the past weeks in this March 2023 format. It's a very solid rogue contender for this current meta, having Kashtira, Branded, Sprite, Traptrix, and Labyrinth around. This deck has a very solid match up against all of these decks. I think it's a deck that many people are sleeping on. And I know there's a punk variant going around, but I don't like it as much as this one. And I can't find many other deck profiles like with a similar build or like just going with the adventure package as I have it here. So I just want to show it to you guys and let me know your thoughts. Maybe you guys can try it out to see how it works for you. For me, it has been great. And maybe you guys can also help me find other texts so we can evolve the deck. This is how I have it right now. But hopefully, some of you guys know of other cards that can also be added to this build. So before we dive into the profile, I just want to share some advantages and weaknesses that this deck has. Advantages are it does not require the normal summon, so matchups like Flowandries we can play around those fairly easily, and um, it doesn't rely on the extra deck. So you know how Kashtira can rip off your extra deck really easy with the Unicorn and the Diplosis. Well, even though this deck can access the extra deck as a toolbox, it is not the win condition, so it works perfectly well without it. Uh, Honestly, I don't touch the extra deck that much, so yeah, that's a very good thing to have in this format. One of the weaknesses that unfortunately it has is that it relies heavily in the graveyard. Like without the graveyard, this deck can't do much. And having a Rise Heart in the current meta, it's a problem. But we have cards to play around that as well. So far it hasn't been that that big of a deal. But it's just out there so you know. So yeah, let's start with my favorite card in this archetype. It's Therion King Regulus. It's the Omni Negate for this deck. And well, for you guys that don't know the Therion archetype, what they do is that they activate from hand and they target another Therion monster in graveyard. They summon and then equip that monster. And they pretty much become a two effect monster because they can use their own effect and they can also use the other monster's effect. So, for example, if we have Regulus and has Lily attached, we can use also her effect. So that's pretty useful. That's really, really good because having two effects in one monster is always a good thing to have. So one of the advantages of him is that he only negates, he doesn't destroy. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But for this meta, for example, the fact that it only negates its effect, cards like Branded Lost, like this card can play around those cards. It can negate the Branded Fusion and the Branded Red without having to be interrupted by Branded Loss. Cards like the Griffin, for example, like it does negate the activation and destroy. So Branded Lost beats this card, but not this card. So that's very good. The second one is Therion Lily, Borea. This is the searcher of the deck. It searches the spells and traps from the deck, and um, it's very important to have her because she allows you to access the field spell. That it's a very strong card that we will look into it, and it also like allows you to access your other cards as well. Therion Duke Yule. This card has a very like cool effect that it protects all Therion monsters that are equipped. Um, oh no, sorry, not that are equipped, but as long as you have a Therion monster equipped, and you have this card in the field, whether it's equipped or on the field as a monster, it will protect from destruction by card effects. So that is really good because the field spell already protects by battle, and to be honest, like most, if not all, of the three monsters are fairly big, so it's not that easy to run over them with um, by battle. So this is very good. You know, Yu-Gi-Oh players don't really read that much, so they just target your monsters, especially the Regulus, to destroy it by card effects. And as long as you have him equipped, it's just wonderful because it protects them. The Therion Empress Alasia is pretty much an extender. You discard a card, summon one of your Therion monsters that is in the equip zone. So yeah, it helps you access their rank 8s and also link plays. Therion Reperfume is my second favorite. It's a compulsory by targeting one of your Therion monsters equipped and one card your opponent controls and returns them both to the hand. So this card is really handy, especially with cards like the Kashtira field spell. Deactivate it, you change Fume, target your monster, target their card, returns them to hand. They can't activate it again, and they can't search. So, perfect. Now for the field spell, the Therion Coliseum is, in my opinion, the best field spell right now. It not only adds you a Therion monster on activation, it also protects your monsters from battle once by sending a Therion card or the Endless Engine Agile System, to the graveyard. And if a monster is destroyed by battle, yours or your opponent's, you can recover a Therion monster from your graveyard to your hand. So, pretty solid effect, if you ask me. Then we have the Endless Engine Agile System. This is a foolish wheel of Therion cards, and it has the very cool effect that it targets itself in the graveyard and another Therion card, and you shuffle one back into the deck, you add the other one to your hand. So it allows for recovery and also like to start your plays, because unfortunately all your monsters are 7 and above. So you need to have them in the graveyard first in order to play them. That's why we have also Therion Charge. It's like a trade-in. You discard a Therion card and draw 2 cards. So you can either discard the field spell, or you can also discard this, the Endless Engine, or any of your monsters. Draw 2 cards. So if you discard a monster and you have another one in hand, this card allows you to start your plays as well. Therion Cross, it's a very cool trap. It negates an effect or banishes a monster. But if you have the Endless Engine in your graveyard, you can apply both. So this is very good because you know, like some monsters are very problematic if they remain on field. Sometimes it's just better to get rid of the monster on the field rather than get the effect. So this card allows you to do that. And if you have the engine, then, well, it's better because you can do both. So this is the Therion package. We're gonna now enter the adventure package that I think doesn't require much explanation. So I play the 3 enchantresses because, well, you know, that's what he searches for the right. The Griffin for the negations, and the Illegal Knight. Well, this card, it's really good. It's a compulsory of 2 cards your opponent controls by giving control of this card to your opponent while it's on the field, and of course you have the token on the field. The only downside for this card is against Kashtira, because unfortunately it's a level 7. So even if you bounce their cards and they can get another level 7 on the field, they can still continue with their Xyz plays. So yeah, that's the only downside of this card for this format. But other than that, it's a very solid card. The 3 rights to get your token on board. The Fateful Adventure. Now, the synergy of this card with this deck is that this card also allows you to search your Enchantress or your Griffin or your Illegal Knight and then dump a card to the graveyard, which we need this in the graveyard. So that's the synergy that it has with this. That's how it has so much synergy with this deck. And then the Dracoback, the compulsory, it's a very nice effect. And the other effect that's once per turn that it can like re-equip itself to the token if it's sent to the graveyard. It goes perfectly not only with its own Fateful Adventure, but also with Lily. Lily can dump any card in the field or in your hand to search for the spells or traps. So you just dump this and you get a +1. That's really cool. And that's it for the adventure package. Now we can enter to the not hand traps, but like maybe board breakers. Yeah, board breakers. I think it's best. I play 3 Lava Golem. Since we don't require the normal summon, it's just insane how much synergy it has. And with cards like Reperfume or the Dracoback or the Illegal Knight, you can bounce this back to your hand, have it as a resource for next turn, or maybe if your opponent has even more monsters, you can just clear them up again. Same goes for Gameciel. I mained Gameciel mostly because in my locals, there are fairly more Kashtiras, and most of them have been like learning to play around Nibiru and Lava Golem, so they're only leaving the Arise card face up. So it becomes a problem when you only have Lava Golem in your hand. So Gameciel helps you deal with that, and it also lets you deal with everything on board. And same goes with Dracoback or the Legal Knight or the Reperfume. You can just bounce it back to your hand, use it again. Then we have the One Call by the Grave. You know, it's really good. Hand traps are a pain, and it also comes very, very useful in other matchups, especially branded. Foolish Burial, it's a starter. You want to send mostly your Enchantress to have access to your right, but if you already have these cards, then you can dump your Therion monsters instead. If you have another one in hand, it allows you to play. So very good card in this deck. And the trade-in. The trade-in is very good. Most of our monsters, including the Lava Golem and the Gameciel, are level 8. So just perfect, because you need these on the graveyard, and you need to draw cards as well. So it's a win-win. And my trap of choice is there can be only one. Guys, this deck does not play any same types. Any. Like, unless you play like 2 of the same on the field, it's the only moment that this card is going to conflict with the deck. Other than that, they're all different types. This is a machine, this is a plant, this is a psychic, this is a reptile, this is an aqua, spellcaster, winged beast, fiend, but well, this is going to be in your opponent's side, and aqua, but this is going to be in your opponent's side as well. So very powerful card. It wins matchups very easy against Sword Soul and Flumandaries. This card completely destroys them. And even though it doesn't affect much to Branded and Kashtira, it does like make them think a little to play around it. So it's always a good card to have. And now into the extra deck. Like I mentioned before, it's just a utility deck that allows you to close up games or like maybe play around some certain cards, but it's not really something you use. So access code, pretty much for the uh, board breaker and help you close games. Blackluster Soldier is really good because all your monsters except the Enchantress are level 7 or above. So when you use it for link summoning this card, then it's just amazing because it gains the ability of not being able to be targeted and can be destroyed. So very good. Boreal Sword, the same. It's just a ODK tool. Underworld Goddess of the Closed World, same. Sometimes this that can spam a lot of monsters at a time. So it helps you remove maybe a problematic monster. So yeah, Nightmare Unicorn, Nightmare Phoenix, just utility. Gigantic Champion Sargus, it's really good because it helps you search for any other Therion card. So it's a searcher as well. And the other effect of whenever a Xyz material is detached, it can either destroy or bounce a card. It comes around sometimes, not always, but it's just a useful thing to have. Suze, I think this requires no explanation. The number 100 package. I really like this package because it's a very pretty much guaranteed ODK with the number 97 to summon it. And I play the number 107 and then number 38 as an additional package for this one, because sometimes you're required to summon the number 38 to negate spells. And if you do that, if you're not playing another one, then you can't really summon this guy. So I just have this one mostly because of that. But, you know, its effect to also negate all the effects in the field in the battle phase, it's like, it comes around as useful sometimes. Dengirsu, removal from field, non-targeting, amazing. And it also protects from destruction. So that's another very cool effect to have. The zombie vampire, it just dumps cards to your graveyard and your opponents and then lets you summon a free body. So helps you set up your graveyard and summon monsters. I don't see how this card is bad at all in this deck. And lastly, number 989, Diablosis. We do play some level 7s, being the Illegal Knight and the Griffin and the Reperfume. And sometimes you don't have the token around and you have like the Illegal Knight or the Griffin lying around not being that useful. So just overlay into this guy and it will help you banish your opponent's cards as well. So yeah, that's it for the deck profile, guys. I hope you like it. Let me know your thoughts about it. If you have any suggestions, I'm really open to look into them. I really like this deck. I think it's a very strong contender for this meta. And yeah, that's it for the deck profile. Thank you guys, and I'll see you up in the next one.